I'm here with Howard Libet, Executive Director of the Baltimore Jewish Council, and we're talking about what we and you can do to help combat anti-Semitism. So Howard, let me ask, we often hear about national episodes of anti-Semitic behaviors. What's happening here in Baltimore?
We're seeing here in Baltimore the same surge in anti-Semitism that we're seeing nationally. We're seeing it, whether it's on the college campuses or in the communities. I mean, trust me, we're very fortunate we haven't had one of the horrific attacks like we've seen in Pittsburgh and any of those places. Part of it is because we invest a lot in security, but at a local, more tangible level, we hear it. We get the reports of it, whether it's the graffiti, cars getting scratched with a swastika, signs being defaced, flyers being distributed in different neighborhoods. Little and big, we're seeing it. And we're seeing it in the hate crime statistics that our state police have. When we look at, this is a national and a Maryland number, when you look at the number of hate crimes motivated by faith or religion, the majority of them are against the Jewish people. Even though Jews represent roughly only 2% of the population in America, we are the vast majority of victims of hate crimes motivated by religion.
What are we doing to try and promote understanding and combat this anti-Semitism?
So we have, as an associated system, sat down with a task force several years ago and really came to the conclusion we need to focus on 4 areas. We need to focus on education, focus on advocacy, focus on allyship. We need to stand with other communities when they're the victims of hate, so they'll stand with us. And we need to focus on better statistics and reporting. We need to report when things happen. We need to track the statistics that will drive where our efforts need to be. A few examples, we did Lessons of the Shoah, where we had over 300 public and private high school students gather up at the John Carroll School, a Catholic school in Bel Air that has for years worked with us and hosted, focusing on genocide, focusing on the Holocaust. We bring in survivors to talk, and the kids learn from all these different schools, juniors and seniors mostly. We're doing programming regularly that talks about anti-Semitism. I've been serving on the Domestic Terrorism and Extremism Task Force.
You mentioned education as one of the 4 tenets of how we are fighting anti-Semitism. Could you elaborate a little on educational programming?
One of the things we did a couple of years ago was, as we acknowledged that our public school curriculum wasn't as in-depth in Holocaust education as we might want, we got the state superintendent to enhance the requirements for what our students need to learn. But now we need to give teachers the tools to understand it. And so past bunch of years, we partner with the Jewish Museum of Maryland to do a teacher training in the winter, another one in the summer, to be prepared to better teach the Holocaust.
Well, thank you so much, Howard. This has been so interesting. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you want to make sure gets shared?
I guess I would just add in how much we're trying to do to build deeper relationships with other communities, whether it's through the Elijah Cummings Youth Program in Israel, or whether through the series of conversations we just had between between Black communities and Jewish communities to try and build deeper understanding. I think, you hear a lot that it's hard to hate someone if you know them.
Thank you, Howard. We're now off to the Jewish Museum of Maryland to talk to one of the teachers who actually participated in the workshops that Howard just spoke of. I'm here with Anne-Marie Fournier, a middle school English language arts teacher at Anne Arundel County Public Schools Virtual Learning Academy. Anne-Marie, what was it that made you want to attend?
I hosted Marissa Schultz and some of the colleagues of hers from the Jewish Museum of Maryland for our 8th grade students. They put on a workshop for our students. It was the Holocaust Memory Project online. And I was so impressed not only with their deep historical knowledge, but also the way that they conveyed empathy and compassion.
So you obviously were teaching somewhat about the Holocaust before the workshops. How did they change the way you taught?
I think in the past, it was more limited to the study of the Diary of Anne Frank and maybe supported by historical facts, but it wasn't as deep maybe as it is now with the information that I've garnered from the workshops, kind of taking testimony and artifacts and making the small things big.
What was your biggest takeaway?
It can just be so overwhelming. The sense of loss and the sense of grief when you're studying this, However, there are these moments of triumph when you examine the little scrap of paper that shows that penmanship lessons were still going on in the camps. Or when you learn about situations of armed resistance and you see people coming together collectively to fight for what's right and rebel against evil. Those are the moments that kind of lift you up from that sense of despair and encourage you to share those stories.
Do you have any stories from your classroom about the impact this is having?
To hear about, that one individual person and how they were impacted and what's their story, and say they survived and moved to the United States, and to like take that individual narrative is huge, especially when you're working with adolescents.
Why is it so important to teach about the Holocaust?
If we all hope to live in a just and peaceful and healthy world, I think that's a vision that we have to continuously work toward. And I think we also need to see, what are the warning signs when the world that we hope to live in is kind of going in the other direction? What are the stages of decay that we need to look out for when not everyone is being treated as they should, or when society is in upheaval? How can we work together to correct that? And I think in order to kind of see our present clearly, we really do need to study our past.
So beautifully said. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here and for sharing this with us today.
Thank you.